Good evening, YouTube. So today we're taking a look at two new heroes, and I'm just going to go through them both in this video. And one of them is Bobo-Ann, who is coming very soon, I believe, maybe from Thursday or from Monday next week. She is a free hero that you will get from just signing into the game, which means that she'll be very nice for free-to-play players, and she'll be very nice on new accounts that starts on new server on Friday. I'm pretty sure that this hero can maybe carry you through all of campaign 12 to 10 hell, but let's take a look at her. Now, she's from the Nameless Brotherhood faction and not from the new Unruly Outlaw. That is kinda weird, but it is what it is. She's an attack type and she's a blue mark. Now, on her basic attack, she's doing 10% of her own max HP. This can crit and it can scale with crit, and then she does also 10% of HP burning damage of her based on her max HP to a single enemy. So she has both the HP burning, where it ignores the defense, and then she got the normal 10% attack damage that doesn't ignore defense. That is like if you take Agatha for example, that is that kind of damage that she does, and she needs crit and crit damage. And if you take Erato, then she's doing HP burning damage and doesn't need crit. So this actually gets both on the basic attack. She gets a 50-50 of both of these. I would suggest just ignoring the crit damage part and just go all out on mastery instead. Now for her skill 2 here, which is her first active skill, laser hunting and laser hunting deals 4 stages of HP burning damage by 8% of her max HP. It's HP burning damage, so it ignores defense, each to a single enemy. The last stage inflicts 1 layer of heavy cannon mark up to 10 layers and has an 80% chance to inflict 1 layer of HP burning for 2 turns. For every 1 layer of heavy cannon mark owned by the target grants laser hunting with 10% mastery. So basically it is 10% mastery per stack of this, and she can have 10 layers of this one here, so I believe she can get 100% mastery if I'm not understanding this ability in a wrong way. Now, only one enemy can have heavy cannon mark at the moment, and it deals 4 stages of HP burning damage considered as a resonance damage, which is one of the new damage types that we've seen also with the new faction. I'm sure we are going to see a lot of buffs and debuffs and gear and stats soon that will also scale with resonance damage and against resonance damage. Not really sure what the difference between resonance damage and skill damage is at the moment, other than a lot of debuffs and buffs in the game at the moment is reducing and increasing skill damage and is not affecting resonance damage. So that might be one of their ways to counter all the skill damage reduction going around or skill damage increasing going around. So anyways, back to the character here. 60% of her max HP to a single enemy. The last stage inflicts 1 layer of heavy cannon mark up to 10 layers and has an 80% chance to inflict 1 layer of HP burning for 2 turns. So basically she does a lot of damage here. She puts a debuff on, and I think this one here is pretty insane actually, especially when she is in her resonance stance. 4 stages of 16% HP is pretty good. And it's HP burning damage, and you also got 80% chance of applying HP burning stack, and you can only have 5 stacks on an enemy target, so she's probably going to stack that as well, which means she would be great for early game as well as mid game and perhaps even end game. Now, I don't know, I think this is a passive. It normally is. When an ally deals resonant damage to the target with heavy cannon mark, proactively, Bobo-Ann has a 100% chance of launching the basic attack to pursue and attack the target once, and 1 layer of heavy cannon mark will be consumed. Now, I don't know what it is, but they are really forcing this pursue and attack on every hero at the moment, and yeah, it's just kind of funny. This effect can only be triggered once in a single turn. Bobo-Ann will cast laser hunting to the enemy with heavy cannon mark once when she dies. Max limit of resonance points is 10 when allies deal dot to the target with heavy cannon mark by casting skills during their turns. Grants Bobo-Ann 1 resonance point, and each ally can only grant Bobo-Ann 1 resonance point each turn. When resonance points reach the max level at the beginning of self-turns, Bobo-Ann consumes all points and gains enhancement for 2 turns. Now this is a wall of text hero, so I'm pretty sure that it's going to be great. Like this is like a whole book you have to read here to just understand what this hero is doing. So far all I can say is that she seems to do a lot of damage based on HP burning, and she also places a heavy cannon mark on targets, which further increases her mastery. Now for the last skill, she also does 15% of her max HP. This is not HP burning, it's just normal max HP damage, and with an 80% chance to inflict HP burning. This ability I don't think will hit that hard, because it also says then she then deals 7% of her max HP to the main target, blah blah blah. It's the same as Beatrix. She also has a ability, her S2 is kinda doing some max HP damage as well, which doesn't ignore defense, and Beatrix is not really doing that much damage, right? She helps out, but it's not really a DPS class. So I think this one is going to be the same. She also has a chance to stun the target. 80% chance to stun the target is actually huge. I think most stun classes in the game is like 40%, so 80% is insane. And okay, then it says in the end that this skill's damage is considered HP burning, so maybe I should have read the ability first before I came to a conclusion there. Yeah, but they put it at the end. Normally they put it at the beginning, so that is my bad. Now exclusives obviously is going to make her stronger. Let's take a look at the exclusives here. When charged heavy cannon, that's the S4, inflicts HP burning, it has the same chance to inflict mastery rest down too. Now I believe we have a Rato who does mastery rest down, but I don't think we have a mastery rest down 2, like a pure debuff doing it. And since it's a 2, we can maybe guess it's going to be minus 40% or minus 60%, and then the one would obviously be 30 or 20. So that is kind of good. That is very nice to see. A new debuff there. Meanwhile, if charged heavy cannon attack fails to inflict the stun on the main target, Bobo-Ann will launch the basic attack to pursue and attack the target once. So on bosses, for example, she will just pursue an attack, which is nice when she's doing HP burning damage. When a wave starts, Bobo-Ann inflicts 1 layer of heavy cannon mark on the enemy with the highest attack, and when soul powered heavy cannon, which is her passive, triggers pursue an attack, heavy cannon mark will not be consumed anymore. If Bobo-Ann is under wrestling enhancement, the pursue and attack trigger will be replaced by casting laser haunting resonance. So exclusive 2, she starts doing a lot of damage. The max layer count of heavy cannon mark is increased to 15, and each of which will increase the owner's HP burning damage taken by 2%. So now she can actually debuff the target even further, and also every stack is now a 2% HP burning damage taken, so that is 30% extra HP burning, which is good for Rato. And when any ally deals resonant damage to the target with heavy mark, reduce the cooldown of laser haunting. So she will be nice together with the new faction and also heroes in the future, where she will get less cooldown reduction here. I think for a free hero this is a very nice free hero, to be honest. It's a big wall of text here on the hero, which normally is a good thing, and I think she can definitely carry you, and it could be interesting to see how far you can go. Now let's take a look at the other hero. Yes, so the other hero is here. It's Elise, or Elise, however you want to pronounce it is up to you. She is from the Unruly Outlaws, the new faction. She's a support type, she got a mark of force, and she's a bleed tank hero. Now from the portrait she looks very nice. I think this faction is one of my favorite factions so far, and I really like it. So, but let's see her basic attack here. It's a little bit easier to understand this hero than the other hero we just went through. Not as big of a wall of text here, but let's see. So she's bleed damage hero, does 260% attack bleed damage on the basic attack with a chance to inflict bleed. That is quite a strong basic bleed attack. It ignores defense. On her S2 there is a 100% chance to inflict speed down 2 for 2 turns, and hypnotize for 1 turn on all enemies. Afterward, deals 140% attack bleed damage to all enemies. So in faction abuse, she is going to be the one applying speed down on the boss, which means you want her to be faster than the boss. At level 30, it's 2800 speed, sorry, to be faster than the level 30 boss in faction abuse. But if you're in game, you can just give her some popper gear or something like that, and you can maybe clear the faction by doing that, because you need to do that speed down, and you need to do the attack down from head, and then you already had two of the best debuffs actually to beat the faction abuse. So I think she will fit in together with Penny and Hat for all of the buffs and debuffs in this faction so far. Based on the speed down debuff here. But let's continue reading her skill kit here. Her passive, exquisite elegance, increases Eli's shield effect by 30% of her initial effect hit up to 240% effect hit can be calculated. Now, in my opinion, I don't think you should stack effect hit on her just for this ability, because 30% of 240% is really not that much. It's like 20, well, it's a bit over 20, maybe 30% actually. Could be around 30% just by doing some math in my head. Maybe 30% extra shield effect. Yeah, we'll have to see if it's worth it to go for 240% effected, because it's a pretty high effected, and it's her initial effected, which means you cannot use auras to boost it. It is the effect hit that you see on the character screen. That is the effect hit that is based on. No emblems, no auras, no nothing. So it's quite high actually. It's probably too high if you win for it, right? Anyways, max resonance points is 10. When allies try inflicting control effects on enemies during their turns, grant allies 1 resonant point, and each ally can only grant allies 1 resonant points each turn. So she will be fitting pretty good with a control meta here, together with Penny for example, because she also gets some resonant points from people trying to do control effects and stuff like that. And it also says here that for every resonance points gained by allies, grants all allies 1 layer of gorgeous shield, which is 18% of her max HP for 2 turns up to 4 layers. So 4 times 18 is actually 72% shield. I don't think we have any hero in the game that can do a 72% max HP shield. I think 60% is the highest we've had so far. So 72% is crazy, and it's also like a passive shield, because she doesn't really have to do anything. It's her passive. She just needs to get resonant points, and for every resonant point she puts a shield on allies for 2 turns. 18%, so it's like a Freud. It's kind of like a Freud somehow, at least how I read it here. So I think that is quite good, especially for the new faction, because you will also need that shield buff as well. So she's going to be perfect for that faction actually. Now her S4 here is the resonance ability, and let's read it. 100% attack bleed damage to all enemies and reduces target's turn meter by 12%, with a 100% chance to inflict the max 1 layer of bleed, and that is it. When resonant points reach the max limit, which is 10, replaces it with Phantom Dancer Resonance and resets its cooldown. So you can use this ability, get the 10 points, and then she'll be ready to use it again. Now, at Resonance it says deals 1 stage of 100% attack damage to all enemies. It's the same. Afterward, deals 5 stages of damage each, dealing 100% attack bleed damage to a random enemy. So against bosses, you'll just hit 1 target, which is fantastic. In PvP, you'll hit random targets, but it's kind of like Lance. He also hits a random target, so I imagine it could be super fun with this guy together with Lance, and just seeing stuff happen in the arena, right? All damage dealt by this skill is considered as resonance damage, which means it can probably not be decreased by skill damage reduction. I don't know, but why else would they do this, right? I don't know. We have to test this out a bit further. We haven't really had a lot of heroes with this ability so far, so we're trying to test it, I guess. Besides, each stage reduces the target's turn meter by 12% and has a 100% chance to inflict 1 layer of bleed. So it still has the turn meter down, which is great. Turn meter reduction is always good in arena. Now let's read her exclusives quick here, because I think she's a fantastic hero. At the level 1 she becomes a buff stripper, removes all buffs from enemies first when casting Art of Explosion. That's her S2. So she'll remove all the buffs, like if you have some kind of buffs, remove it, put speed down, and then she'll also hypnotize the enemies, which is great. And if you're stacking effect hit on her anyways, you'll have a great chance to land all your speed debuffs and stuff like that, right? And it also says here that only takes effect, and this is like it's a weird wording, right? But that's a punctuation here, and then it says only takes effect once each wave, colon. When any enemy is immune to control effect inflicted by Elise, Elise grants all allies damage immunity for 1 turn. So once she does her S2 in game here, and if she hits, like, let's say a lance or a mirroring jing, or someone that is immune to control effect, she'll put a damage immunity on everyone on the team. All allies get a damage immunity, which is great. And actually maybe it can be a clutch thing, right? Like in arena, imagine that the fight is going on, blah blah blah. You've already taken your first turn, or the enemy maybe goes first, whatever. And now it's your turn. You try to CC, you can't CC, and everyone is immune. Now instead of having the enemy buff stripper removing your damage immunity, maybe with a popper or with someone else, then you have the damage immunity for 1 turn, right? So that can be quite clutch, I guess. And the exclusive 2 here, at the beginning of each wave and each time after Phantom Dancer or Phantom Dancer Resonance is cast, Elise grants all allies Indomitable 2. It's a new buff. Reduces dot taken by 40% for 2 turns. If the ally has a control attack, upgrades the buff to Resilient Spirit, which reduces dot damage taken by 60%. So this is huge. This is massive, I think, for PvP. Because control attack, actually a lot of heroes have this control attack. And if you can pair her up with Giselle, for example, she got the control attack. And imagine you have an Elise and a Giselle on your team, and the other one, and the enemy doesn't have it, then your Giselle is taking 60% less damage from the enemy Giselle, which is huge. And that is just like what I'm thinking. You can try counter it. So she's kind of being forced into a PvP meta here, also because Iratu does dot damage, and so you'll be able to take 60% less damage from Iratu, or in worst case 40% less damage, right? And since we already have a lot of skill damage reduction, this one is a new buff, it's another thing, so it works in another way. It's additive instead of multiplicative, right? Exclusive 3, at the beginning of each wave, another beginning wave, Elise grants a resonance point equal to the number of allies with control attack. For every 1 point gained by Elise, increases her turn meter by 5%. So let's say you just have 3 control members, it's 15% turn meter from the beginning. It's great. And if she has 200% or more affected initially, so okay, you will probably go for 200% on your character screen and then just ignore the last 40%. When any ally with shield takes damage from enemies, excluding boss, each stage of damage will be no more than the total shield value. Now this is kind of interesting, and I do not think I understand completely, so I'm not going to guess how it works. Or rather, I will maybe have a theory here, because let's say you have a Sung Wukong, he got the shield tag, right? Because this is tags. I don't think, when it says here, when any ally with shield, I don't think they mean like a shield buff. I think they mean the tag shield, because it says in brackets. When they take damage from enemies, excluding boss, so for example in arena, each stage of damage will be no more than the total shield value. So it just means that you cannot remove the shield with damage, right? So if you have a shield of 1 million HP, then the enemy will have to do 1 million damage before they can like remove it, and they won't be able to start chopping into your health. They will only be able to remove the shield with damage, but not do anything to your health before the next attack. Okay, I think that makes sense, guys. So on this hero here, would I pull for her? I'm actually kinda thinking yes. I think she will fit into PvP, and she'll also be very nice for the new faction if you want to get higher there. But there's also a Christmas limited edition hero coming in a month, maybe. So it's up to you guys what you want to do. You have 14 days to decide before she disappears. So maybe just wait it out, see some videos, read some stuff about her, try her out, see how it goes, and then decide. This video was very long. It took like 1 hour to read that Bobo-Ann guide, but I hope you enjoyed it anyways, and I wish you a good night. Bye.